I started researching about how to convert my UK or New Zealand registrations to the US. Getting a C-Eng is probably your first step. C-Eng, and then you need to have an INPE as well, International Professional Engineer, which is again something that you apply with the Engineering Council. Once you've got those two, it's effectively creating your NCES record and going through the whole process and applying to the state that you want to. In terms of the actual process itself, you have something called the NCES, which is one of the local governing bodies. It's a body which kind of administers some of the professional engineer and the fundamental engineering exams. And they have something called an NCES portfolio, wherein you put all your educational records, you get your official transcripts from your universities, get some recommendation letters or reference letters from your current and previous managers. So you've got a project summary, and you need to demonstrate that you've done 5-6 years of experience under a professional engineer supervision, and you've taken gradual increases in responsibility. So you put that portfolio in there, NCES evaluates, and then they kind of say that yes, you've got an NCES record which can be sent out to other state boards. And once you end up getting that, you send it to a state board, and along with their actual application, and they process it. State board kind of goes through their own set of monthly or quarterly meetings, and once they say that yes, he's basically got a UKCN, he's got an NCES record, which again says that he's ticked off all the objectives. So it's almost a reciprocal equivalent of state PE, and then you get your certificate. I knew that Idaho, one of the states in the US in the Northwest, they already had a reciprocal agreement. Then Pennsylvania as well as Nevada again had reciprocal agreements. So those are the three states. Just to add to that, so that agreement was signed back in August last year. And I think there are about 5 or 6 states that have signed up to it at this stage. And there are another 20 states who've sort of put an approval in principle or an agreement in principle. But they need to, again, go back in. They need to amend their regulations, and all the state board members need to approve that unconditionally before it actually gets ratified into their state constitution. So it will take a bit of time, but then there are some states like California, Washington, Oregon, Utah, and there's Washington D.C. perhaps, and a couple of New England states. It's depends on where your company actually works, and if your company is based all over the U.S. and you do end up getting involved in projects across the U.S., then yes, it's worth getting a PE in a different state to where you actually live. There's quite a few states that have actually agreed to kind of go through with this.